Hello everyone and welcome to Victoria's Cantina. Today we're having a look at the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace Obi-Wan Kenobi. As always, I'm very pleased to add another S.H. Figuarts figure to my collection. Looking at the packaging, you can see that this is the same style we have seen previously with other S.H. Figuarts figures. It's a very compact box, which I like because it doesn't take up too much storage space. Side of the box is just black and chrome and gives you that little description of Figuarts right there that we have seen previously. On the side here, you get a photo of the Obi-Wan figure. On the opposite side, you get an image of the Obi-Wan figure. And at the back, some more images of the figure in different poses. You can see the two heads and you can see an interaction with Darth Maul. It's looking really good. I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing, so I'm hoping that once I get this out of the box, it'll live up to my expectations and that it'll be a really solid addition to my Figuarts collection. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up. When we come back, we'll take a closer look and see what this is like. Alright, and here is the figure out of the packaging. As expected, this looks really good. In typical Bandai S.H. Figuarts style, it looks very lifelike and very realistic. The figure's got very nice proportions. It's sculpted very nicely. The coloring of his Jedi garb looks very film accurate. And of course, being a Figuarts figure, it's got quite a bit of articulation and plenty of accessories included. Go ahead and give you a close-up of the figure, and this is very interesting. There's a bit of a disparity between how the figure looks in real life compared to how he looks on camera. It almost looks like on camera there's more detail on the face than there actually is. Now, don't get me wrong, Figuarts figures are always loaded with lots of detail, lots of nice paint to make them look realistic, but the camera's almost picking up a little bit extra shadowing, it looks like, which is interesting. I'm not quite sure why that's happening, but nonetheless, it still looks very lifelike. And I just really like the way that this turned out. I mean, it's so Ewan McGregor, and that's just so awesome. Looking at it from the side, I mean, that's totally his profile. They did an excellent job, and I'm not surprised in the least because all the Figuarts figures we've looked at have all been very lifelike and have had excellent likenesses to the actors. And this is really no exception. I mean, it just looks superb. The eyes look very lifelike. They almost have a little bit of a glossiness to them. The skin tone seems dead on to me. You can see that he's got his cheekbones. The skin has the folds that make it look more lifelike and are true to real life. Even around his nose, you can see a little bit of dimpling, which just gives it a little bit more of a realism. And I mean, it looks excellent. It truly, truly looks excellent. It's really hard to imagine that this is a 6-inch figure. I mean, it's just so incredibly lifelike. Looking at it from the top, you can see that he's got his brownish looking hair. Ewan McGregor in the Star Wars films kind of had like a brownish, reddish sort of hair. It doesn't look like they captured this entirely, but in episode 1, it does seem like he kind of had a little bit more of a lighter sort of hair color. Maybe it was like a little bit more of a light brown, dirty blonde sort of thing with a little bit of red. And I guess that they did a pretty good job in that respect, but it doesn't really match what he looked like in episode 2 or in episode 3, which is fine. This is an episode 1 figure, and that's what we expect. We expect them to get as close to possible as they can. There is a little bit of that sort of blonde highlighting sort of thing that we've seen before. And I mean, I guess it looks okay, because if you look at him in the film, he does kind of have what looks like maybe some gel in his hair, or it looks a little bit shiny. And I guess that works in that respect, but it's a little bit overdone. Not to mention the fact that the hair just feels a little bit on the dark side, no pun intended, especially here in the front areas. From the back, it seems a little bit more closer to what it would have been in the movie. Imperfections with the hair aside, this just looks excellent. This is probably the best Obi-Wan figure you're going to get in the 6-inch scale in terms of realism and film accuracy. Looking at the rest of the figure, I like the neck. I like how you can see his trachea and like the very top of his collarbone. The Padawan braid is very nice. It's basically like this pliable sort of plastic. It's really soft, but it doesn't really do anything. It just kind of drapes there, which is fine. The rest of the costume, very nice texture on his Jedi robes. I really like that. I really like that texturing, just like they had in the film. And I like the draping on the arms. Nice folds there in the sleeves. The belt looks really good as well. It's got that leathery look to it with some gold and silver accents. He comes out of the box with that hilted lightsaber there on the belt. I'll just unclip it so you can see how it goes in. It's got a little peg and a little hole right there. So you just plug it in right there like that. And from the back, very nice. The legs too look really good. Really nice fabric look on them. From the back, it does look a little bit strange, but you know, that's nothing new. We saw this on Mace Windu, and the same is true on Obi-Wan. And the boots are kind of like an auburn sort of color. I really like them. I think that they look quite nice. And they do have a little bit of a leathery look to them too. So that's really cool. And underneath, he has no peg holes under his feet. And he comes out of the box with these fisted hands. But those aren't all the hands that you get. You actually get quite a few hands, which is pretty nice. You have options. You have these 2 lightsaber hands that he has too. And you just slide the lightsaber hilt in there. He's got these open hands, like force push sort of thing. And these are interesting. So for his left hand, he comes with like 2 fingers, like a peace sign. And then on for the right, it's kind of more of an open hand, but the fingers are a little bit more flexed. So very nice. And the hands themselves, as you would expect, look really good. You can see his fingernails, his knuckles, and the tendons right here on the back of his hands. So in addition to the head that Obi-Wan has out of the packaging, he also comes packed with this one right here. And I kind of feel like I like this one a little bit better, not because it's more realistic or anything. It's not, they're about the same, but I just really like the expression. Now, to get the head off, you're simply going to pull. Figuarts doesn't make it too hard most of the time. You can pull them off relatively easily. You'll see the neck peg right there. And we'll just go ahead and slide the alternate head on, just like that. And it snaps in really easily. Now, in terms of articulation, we do get that head joint, as you just saw. There's also a neck joint, which moves independently of the head, and that kind of enables maximum movement. He's got these double joints here at the shoulders, just as we've seen on pretty much all Figuarts figures we've looked at. So you have this joint underneath the shoulder, and then you can also move the upper arm itself independently of that. So that's really cool. You get bicep swivels, you get your bends here at the elbows, and it goes beyond a full 90 degrees, which is really nice. As far as the hands go, they are on ball joints because you have the hands that go in and they basically connect to a pin that's in there, and the pin is what sits on the ball joint. So you still get a nice amount of movement there, as you can see. You get a ball joint here at the torso, which enables some pretty decent movement. You can move it around as you wish. At the hips, he does have his ball joints, so you can do a pretty good Jedi split right there. And you can move them forward, and just a really good range of movement overall. Ball joints at the knees, and again, more than 90-degree access. And then for the ankles, you get your ball joints, which are also on rockers. And you can flex the toes up and down as well, which ultimately does help quite a bit with posing. So as you can see, he does have a lot of articulation. So for weapons, I already showed you this lightsaber. This is the one that he comes wearing out of the box, and it just attaches to his belt with that peg. Now there is a fully lit lightsaber as well, and this is the one that you give him to hold when he's going to go into battle against Darth Maul or the Trade Federation droid army. And the hilt looks pretty much the same. It looks like they're the same size. Pretty much the same size. There might be a slight difference, but it's really, really close. And the blade itself is kind of like this light, medium shade of blue. I personally would have liked it to have been a little darker, but it's not bad. It does look nice. And it's quite interesting how this works. So you're going to have this little ball end here at the pommel, and you basically just pull it out like that. Don't lose it because it's very small, but just place it aside. And what you're going to do is take one of the lightsaber hands like this and just kind of feed it through. You do kind of got to wiggle it a little bit because it is a pretty tight fit. So hopefully that won't wear on the paint over time. Now once you do that, you just grab your little ball end right here and just kind of feel it, because it's kind of hard to see, so you just kind of got to feel it out. And once you push it in,
You can see that the hand is on the hilt. We'll go ahead and grab Obi-Wan and pull his hand off, and we'll replace it with the lightsaber hand. Now this is interesting. Note how the hole isn't like straight into the hand like that. The hole kind of sits upward, so you want to be mindful that you're putting the hand in properly so you don't break anything. And there we go. So in addition to Obi-Wan's lightsaber, we also get Qui-Gon Jinn's lightsaber, which is pretty nice because you can reenact those last few moments in Darth Maul's life at the end of the Phantom Menace. So it's nice that they included it in here, although they did not include just a hilt by itself, which kind of would have been the icing on the cake. I guess it's not really a big deal that they didn't include it, but this one doesn't seem to be able to disconnect from the blade. I don't want to move it too hard out of fear of breaking it, but it is a nice bonus, and I think that the hilt itself looks really nice. It's got some really nice paint and detail on it. And the blade itself is a pretty nice green color. It's a little light, in my opinion. I kind of feel like it should be a little darker. But, it is what it is. It looks pretty good. And the bottom part of the saber here does not come out like we have with Obi-Wan's saber. So if you want to get it into his lightsaber hand, you just kind of push it in the same way. So you're just kind of going to twist a little bit because it is a very tight fit. And then just kind of wiggle it on like that. And although it's not really screen accurate, you can pose them holding both of the lightsabers, which I think looks kind of cool. Now, the force push hands also look really nice and add a pretty cool dynamic to the figure. So you can have him holding the lightsaber in one hand and then doing the force push in the other. And I think it looks great. It definitely allows for some really cool posing options. And then with the alternate left hand, he kind of has this bunny ears sort of thing going on. And I figured out why they included this hand. If you go back and watch Revenge of the Sith, when he's going to fight with General Grievous, he does this crazy kind of karate pose twice. First when he's engaging the Magna Guards, and then when he's going to fight Grievous himself. So that's really good attention to detail. I'm glad they included that hand in there so that you can pose him doing that. The only problem is, of course, that it's not film accurate to Phantom Menace. But if and when Bandai does a Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan, they will include this hand with that figure too. That way you can accomplish that pose. And I hope they do a General Grievous too while they're at it. Here's a comparison of the Figuarts Obi-Wan, along with Hasbro's Black Series 6-inch Obi-Wan. I've never really been that big a fan of that figure. It just looks too waxy, the hair's a little bit too reddish, and the costume just seems a little bit over-textured. Again, I really hope that Figuarts does an Episode 3 Obi-Wan, because that's kind of my favorite Obi-Wan that we saw in the prequels. And since they are coming out with the Episode 2 version, I do anticipate they will get around to Episode 3 at some point. In any case, you can see that these scale up pretty well together. They are about the same size. Here's Obi-Wan with the S.H. Figuarts Mace Windu that we have looked at before. And it's nice to see the two Jedi next to one another. Mace is a little bit taller, which is accurate to the films. And they're both insanely detailed and realistic. I love it. And then, of course, Obi-Wan with the Figuarts Darth Maul. Maul is a little bit shorter than Obi-Wan, which I believe is accurate to the film, but they're both equally as detailed and quite as equally as stunning.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Star Wars Episode 1 The Phantom Menace Obi-Wan Kenobi 6-inch scale action figure. Overall, you guys, this is fantastic. I mean, I don't expect anything less from Figuarts. They nailed this. I can't really see how they could do a better figure than what they did here. The sculpt is fantastic. The paint is fantastic. I think that it has an excellent likeness to Ewan McGregor. Skin tone is great. Hair could be tweaked just a little bit, but everything else is great. Costume. The articulation system is very nice. I do kind of wish it was a little bit easier to get him to hold the lightsaber in two hands. It does take a little bit of work in order to get it just right, but you can do it. All of the accessories are fantastic. It is really nice that they included Qui-Gon's lightsaber. The only other thing they could have really added to this maybe would have been a Jedi robe, but that's not a huge deal. They haven't included any of those for any of their Star Wars figures so far. This is just solid through and through. And if you already have the Darth Maul figure, then you definitely need to get Obi-Wan to go along with him. It's a very natural fit. It's like milk and cereal. It's like peanut butter and jelly. You really need them both. And I'm glad that I got Obi-Wan because initially I was going to wait for the Attack of the Clones version, but I'm glad that I went ahead and got this one first because I love it. I love it. It's a fantastic figure. And as always, hats off to Bandai for giving us these quality action figures. If you want to get Obi-Wan, they're not too expensive. This one usually goes for around $45 or so, which isn't that bad. And I do highly recommend it to you. If you're a fan of the 6-inch Black Series line, it's possible Hasbro might get around to doing one at some point, but there's no way it's going to be this cool. And being an episode 1 figure, I'm not really sure Hasbro is going to be in a hurry to do that because they don't tend to do episode 1 a whole lot lately. So do yourself a favor, get the Bandai Figuarts Obi-Wan, make sure you have Darth Maul to go with him, and then create some really fun poses with the two figures. They're just great, and I'm really looking forward to the next Figuarts figure that I end up purchasing. Alright my friends, I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give us a like and subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. Be sure and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And as always, I do want to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, my friends, may the Force be with you.